Hey guys, Matt Jones in a small town called Ulsan, which is in the southwestern corner of Korea, immediately north of a small town called Jindo. And between those two places there's a very narrow strait. It's about 250 metres at its widest, and that was where one of the most important naval battles of perhaps all of history took place in 1597 at a place called the Myeongnyang Strait. The commander of that was a guy called Lee Shin, who's a bit of a national hero here in Korea. But I just wanted to check in, not to talk about Korea or not to talk about history or Lee Shin or anything like that, but really just outside this little jumble of a shop. It's a kimchi shop, and you can see here they've got all the provisions you need to make kimchi. I'll take you inside in just a minute. But what I want to do while I'm just walking around here is tell you why I'm doing 22 push-ups a day and what I hope to achieve by it. 안녕하십니까? 안녕하세요.
네, 안녕하세요.
So this is kimchi ada. 네.
김치 담아갖고 팔아.
So it looks wonderful. This great little shop. I thought I'd just look at these tiles over there. They look absolutely fantastic. Beautiful kitsch, still life going on everywhere. It's probably actually wallpaper, not tiles, but looks great. 감사합니다. Yeah. So I'll just walk outside, show the outside of this shop, but I want to just talk a little briefly about why I'm doing 22 push-ups a day and what I hope to achieve by that, other than a few hundred push-ups. And there's a few ideas that come together. One, principally, the simple way of explaining it, which is probably the best way, is that many veterans have a sort of hidden struggle from society, principally because they're not really readily identified, and so mental health as an issue for society in general as a problem becomes exacerbated for veterans, because just their needs are not well understood by people who basically haven't served. And so issues of mental health at their best are complex anyway, and then to overlay that, aspects of transitioning to the normalcy of life, the feeling of being completely let down by government and institutions, a feeling of disconnection from your mates or from what you had a sense of purpose of doing before. These are some of the struggles that I guess add on top of a whole range of other personal issues or things that happen on a personal nature for people who fall under the community heading of veterans. In America, 22 veterans a day on average are committing suicide, which is just an unacceptable number by any measure. I mean, one really is too many, isn't it, a month? Now that number includes veterans from Vietnam, and so it's not all young veterans. The image we get from Hollywood is maybe a bit overly dramatic in terms of it focuses on the individual hero, but the reality is the struggles of everyday life are just pretty much mundane and ordinary. So you can see this shop is pretty eclectic. It's got all the provisions you need to make kimchi at the front. You met the lady inside before. So I'm doing 22 push-ups a day for 22 days to highlight the mental health needs of veterans. And that's an effort taking me toward a marathon I'm running, the Marine Marathon. I'm running in Washington DC on the 30th of October. And there's a small fundraising component that I need to achieve in order to qualify to run. I need to raise $1,000. So there's a small fundraising component associated with this marathon. It's $1,000 I need to raise for the organisation that I'm doing it for, along with a good mate, Robert Marshall, who lives in Washington DC, himself a veteran, an American veteran. So I need to raise $1,000 for an organisation called The Mission Continues. The Mission Continues is an American organisation focused on American issues for American veterans, but the reach of what they do extends globally. They really do some really game-changing initiatives that have had great success. So to raise that $1,000, what I plan to do is to seek the support of 50 Americans, each donating $22 to the mission continues in the next 2 weeks, and that will culminate on the 22nd of August in Sydney. And so between now and then, I'll be doing these 22 push-ups a day to support, to raise awareness for veterans. And the 50 Americans who I'm seeking support from, well, they don't have to be Americans, they can be anyone really. The 50 people represent the 50 states of America, and each person $22, simply because we want to remind ourselves that across those 50 states, it's an unacceptable level of 22 people committing suicide every day. And so let's get around this problem and do what we can to change it. So that's simply why I'm doing 22 push-ups today, what I hope to achieve for it, and the outcome is really to frame a conversation about what we can all do to maybe change the situation for the better. I hope I can get your support in the coming 2 weeks. Thanks for listening.